I knew things were about to explode the moment my dad texted me. "Don't you dare wear that silly costume." Message popped up on my phone while I was standing in the kitchen, holding the costume bag I'd bought with my own money, and my hands started shaking because I could already picture the argument that was about to go down, and before I could even process it, my brother walked in, saw the text, and burst out laughing, saying, "It's just a Halloween costume. Man, what's his problem this time?" That's when I realized this wasn't just another one of my dad's weird control moments. This was the one that pushed me over the edge. So let me ask you right now, was I wrong for what I did next? Would you have listened to him, or would you have done exactly what I did? All right, let me back up a little, because this whole mess didn't start with Halloween. It started way earlier, pretty much my entire life, honestly. My dad has always been the type to care way too much about appearances. Like everything was about, how does this make the family look? Or what will people think? It didn't matter if something made sense, if it made me or my brother happy, or if it was harmless. If he didn't like how it looked, it wasn't allowed. Growing up with that mentality was exhausting. I wasn't allowed to dye my hair even temporarily, wasn't allowed to wear graphic tees past middle school, wasn't allowed to hang posters on my walls, because rooms should look neat and respectable, and definitely wasn't allowed to go through any sort of phase, if I so much as joked about wanting to try something new. He'd shut it down instantly. My older brother Jason was always the rebel in the family, but he got away with it mostly because he didn't care what Dad said. He'd roll his eyes, shrug, and walk out the door, even if Dad yelled at him until his face turned red. Meanwhile, I was the one who avoided confrontation, the one who tried keeping the peace, the one who followed the rules even when they were ridiculous. I used to think it made things easier, but honestly, all it did was give my dad more control. So fast forward to this year. I was invited to a big Halloween party hosted by some friends from college. I don't usually dress up or go to parties, but this time, I decided I wanted to actually participate, be part of the fun, and not be the awkward one standing around pretending to enjoy myself. I picked out a costume I'd always wanted to wear. Something goofy but clever. A full-body dinosaur inflatable suit. Not scary, not inappropriate, not offensive. Just funny. I tried it on at my friend's house earlier that week, and everyone cracked up in the best way. For once, I felt like maybe I wouldn't be invisible at the party. Then came the mistake. I left the costume bag on my bed. My dad walked past my room, saw it, and immediately started in with the interrogation. Who bought it? Why was I wasting money? Was I trying to embarrass the family? What kind of grown adult would dress like a giant inflatable dinosaur? He lectured me until my ears rang. And when I didn't say anything because I honestly didn't even know what to say, he told me he forbade me from wearing it. It should have ended there, at least temporarily. But later that night, he texted me from downstairs like I was some sort of employee who needed written instructions. "Don't you dare wear that silly costume." Words themselves weren't even the problem. It was the tone. The assumption that he was entitled to decide how I express myself, even for something as harmless as a holiday party. And the funny thing is, if he had ignored it, I might not have taken it so personally. But the more I thought about his message, the more something inside me snapped. So when Jason laughed and said, "It's just a Halloween costume," I realized he was right. It was just a costume that hurt nobody, a costume I paid for, a costume meant for my night out. But somehow to my dad, it was the end of the world. And that's when I made the decision that changed everything. I texted my friends that I'd be at the party, costume and all. Jason grinned and told me he supported me 100%. He even said, if he flips out, that's on him, not you. I wish I could tell you I left the house confidently, but my stomach twisted the whole time. I packed the costume in my car and planned to change at the party so Dad wouldn't see me leave wearing it. But before I left, he called from the living room. "Come here," he said, not looking away from the TV, like I was just some interruption in his evening. I walked in, preparing myself for another rant. But instead he asked, "You're not actually planning to go out dressed like that, right?" I told him calmly, calmer. Then I felt that it was harmless, fun, and it didn't affect him. He stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "My son is not humiliating himself in public," he said. That word, humiliating, made something in me ignite. I said, "It's not humiliating. It's a holiday. Everyone dresses up." And he replied, "Normal people dress up, not in ridiculous inflatable nonsense." Every insult, every nitpick growing up, every time he tried to mold me into some version of myself that wasn't me, all of it flashed through my mind. And I finally said the words I'd been terrified to say my whole life. I'm wearing it. He stood up like he couldn't believe what he heard. Excuse me? I repeated it louder this time. Jason walked into the room, hearing the raised voices, and without saying anything, he stood beside me. Dad realized he was outnumbered and clenched his jaw. If you walk out that door with that disgraceful thing, don't expect me to defend you when people laugh at you. And I told him, I don't need your defense. I just want you to stop controlling everything I do. I left. I drove to the party. And when I zipped myself into that stupid, hilarious, enormous dinosaur suit, something magical happened. People didn't laugh at me. They laughed with me. I was the center of attention for the first time ever, but in a good way. People asked to take pictures with me. I danced. I joked. I breathed. Really breathed, without worrying about disappointing someone. I felt free in a way I hadn't felt since I was a kid. But then the calls started. The first one I ignored, then another, and another. By the sixth call, my hands were shaking again. Jason finally texted me saying, he's furious, says you embarrassed him. I texted back saying, how? He wasn't even here. And Jason said, he thinks people will post you online, and someone he knows will see. That's all it took for him, apparently. Just the idea that maybe, somehow, someone in his precious social circle might see me having fun in a costume. Meanwhile, I was standing outside the house with people cheering and taking pictures, and I felt this mix of joy and dread. Joy because for once I was living my life. Dread because I knew the storm waiting for me at home. So here's the moment where I want to pause and ask you directly. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have taken off the costume and gone home to keep the peace? Or would you have stayed and lived your life, knowing full well that you'd have to face the consequences later? Let me know in the comments, because I really want to see how others think in a situation like this. Anyway, I decided not to leave. I stayed until the end of the party, because I realized the fear I felt wasn't about the costume. It was about the years of conditioning that made me think I didn't deserve to make harmless choices for myself. The party ended around midnight, and when I finally got in my car and drove home, my heart was pounding so loud I could feel it in my neck. The house was dark except for the living room light. My dad was waiting, sitting straight up on the couch, phone in hand, videos of me pulled up online. Someone had posted a clip of me dancing in the costume, and it had a few thousand views already. He didn't yell at first. He just stared at me with this cold expression and said, "Look what you've done." I said, "I didn't do anything wrong." And that's when he exploded. He yelled about respect, about the family name, about how he had to read texts from relatives who had apparently already seen the video. He told me I embarrassed him, that he warned me, that I brought shame to the house. Who even talks like that in real life? But in his world, the idea of someone laughing at me was the same as laughing at him. I tried explaining that it wasn't that deep, that no one at the party thought badly of me, that it was literally just a costume, but he wasn't listening. He said, "If you want to act like a clown, then you're not living under my roof." Those were his exact words. Jason stepped in, defending me, yelling back at our dad, asking why he cared more about strangers on the internet than his own son's happiness. But Dad was done. He told me to pack a bag and find somewhere else to be childish. I thought he was bluffing. He wasn't. He stood in the hallway with his arms crossed as I packed the clothes I could carry. I didn't cry. I think I was too angry and too stunned. Jason offered to let me stay with him at his apartment. And that's where I've been ever since. The aftermath? Well, it's messy. My mom called crying, saying she didn't agree with Dad, but she couldn't go against him. Some relatives texted me, privately saying the video was hilarious and Dad was overreacting. Others said I should have listened. My dad hasn't spoken to me at all. Not once. Not even to check if I'm okay. And here's the crazy part. The video went viral. Not in a humiliating way, people loved it. Some said it made their day. Some made memes. Some even said they wished they had the confidence to do what I did. Confidence? I wasn't confident, I was terrified. But I did it anyway. Living with Jason has been peaceful, quiet, free. I'm learning how to make choices for myself, without waiting for permission. And the more time passes, the more I realize how unhealthy my dad's control was. Maybe one day we'll talk. Maybe he'll apologize. Or maybe he won't. But for the first time in my life, I'm not putting my happiness on hold for him. So I'll end with this. Don't let someone, parent or not, dictate something as harmless as your joy. Life is too short to be scared of inflatable dinosaur costumes. And if you were on my side, like this video, subscribe for more stories like this. And definitely leave a comment telling me what you think of this whole mess. I'll see you all in the next story.